Hello and welcome to episode 53 of Triumph Beyond Trauma. I'm your host, Rosie Skeen, and I am so stoked to be able to bring you this episode today. Last week, I had my very first article published in the K-Fit World magazine, and it's titled Not All Strength is Physical, Training the Mind Like a Muscle. And I had so much fun writing it. If you would like to take a read, scroll down through the show notes for the link and leave a comment at the end to let me know your thoughts. Today's guest is an old mate of mine from Walgett. Mel Smith was just one of the most joyous people to work the truck with. We didn't talk about it during the app, but we had a few laughs reminiscing about a time we got the police truck bogged in town during the day. It was so funny. It was her last day in Walgett. I'll put up some pics on social so you can have a bit of a giggle too. Yeah, we were so lucky that a local came to our rescue. Melissa Smith is a straight talking mum of 3 teens living in regional New South Wales with a heart full of lived experience and a microphone in hand. She joined the police at just 18, spent 18 years in the job, and like many who serve, paid a price. Medically discharged in 2021 after being diagnosed with PTSD. Since then, life has taken a few wild turns: hospital stays, healing journeys, injuries, and now a brand new podcast, Mad Mel's Mic. It is real talk about PTSD, parenting, and picking up the pieces when life doesn't go to plan. Her career might not have ended the way she imagined, but Mel's flipping the script, sharing her story to spark honest conversations and to remind others that they're not alone. We do swear a little bit in this episode, so please be warned, there's a few F-bombs. And as always, please manage your own capacity to listen. With that, let's rip into episode 53 of Triumph Beyond Trauma with Mel Smith. Welcome to Triumph Beyond Trauma, the podcast that explores journeys of resilience and hope. I'm Rosie Skeen, a yoga and breathwork teacher and founder of Tactical Yoga Australia. As a former soldier's wife, mum to 3 beautiful kids, and a medically retired New South Wales police officer with PTSD, I understand the challenges of navigating mental health in the first responder and veteran community. Join us for incredible stories from individuals who've confronted the depths of mental illness and discovered their path to happiness and purpose, as well as solo episodes and expert discussions. Together, we'll uncover the tools to help you navigate your journey toward a brighter, more fulfilling life. Whether you're looking for helpful insights, practical tips, or just a friendly reminder that you're not alone, Triumph Beyond Trauma has got your back. You matter, and your journey to a happier, more meaningful life starts right here. Mel, welcome to Triumph Beyond Trauma.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love you so much. And it's been such a hot minute since we've had a chat, but I'm so excited to talk to you today, like for a couple of reasons. One, obviously we're good friends and we have a history in the cops. But the second one is like your journey. And I've been watching, on the socials and listening to your new podcast and just finding out a little bit more about you and what's happened in the last few years. So I'm really excited for you to come on and talk so other people can hear what you've been through and to normalize like different processes, because your journey is so different to what mine has been. I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be here. Thank you.
So let's just start then, especially because you're a cop and I keep saying you're a baby when you joined because you're still a teenager.
Yeah, I was still on my P's when I started work. I was at the academy at 18 and 6 months. So you had to be obviously 18 and 6 months. So you were 19 when you came out. And I was fortunate because I grew up in Western Sydney, and the first 3 months of the academy was just at Richmond. So because we went through on an election and the academy wasn't big enough for everybody. So the first 3 months was at Richmond. And so I only spent 3 months down in Goulburn before I started at Mount Druitt. And that was certainly an eye-opener. I originally got given Quakers Hill lac, and I swapped with a chick who her and her partner both got Mount Druitt. So I didn't want to really work at Quakers Hill because that's where I grew up, in that same lac. So yeah, it certainly opened my eyes very quickly to go, you've lived a very sheltered life.
Yeah.
And considering like geographically, like my house where I grew up to Mount Druitt was probably only 10, 15 minute drive, but it felt like worlds apart.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. I certainly wouldn't change it.
How long were you there for?
Mad Drew it. 5 years, I think. Just I got my second hook at gangs. So, yeah, just under 5 years I was at Mount Druitt.
That's
So,
such a long time. I was talking to another guy, James. He did like, I think it was 5 years. I feel like it might have been 5 years, could have been longer at Logan in Southeast Queensland. And he's
that's a
like,
big
that
one.
amount of time at that station is like 20 years at a
Yeah.
quieter station. I guess it's the same for Mount Druitt.
And, yeah, it certainly was because, like, I think I was in my first wrestling the first 2 weeks and I had to call urgent on the radio and it's like, "Oh, shit, like, this is life. Like, what have I done?" But I don't remember ever going, "Oh, this is not what I wanna do." But, yeah, it certainly was. I think places like Mount Druitt and where James was in Logan, it's one of those stations where you either sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I learnt very quickly, I think. And I'm glad I swapped. Like, I think I learnt a lot in those first 5 years, well, particularly in probably the first 6 to 12 months about I don't know, they always spoke about at the academy how communication and you go, "Oh, what a crock of shit." But it's such an important tool in the cops. And then when we went regional, there was nobody coming to back you up. It's always how you talk to people. So yeah, it was certainly a sink or swim station and I loved it. And it, like anywhere, it's the people as well. And I don't think you can ever replace your first station, can you?
No,
Like it's
like there's always that little bit of love for it, I think, isn't
yeah,
it? Like, yeah. I agree with you with the communication thing. And I think you're either a good communicator or you have to learn really fast in the cops.
yeah, yeah,
My first station was a country station, so there was only ever one truck on a general shift, and then on the weekends we might have a second one. And I remember going back to Goulburn, on the silvers, how you go there sort of within your first 12 months and talking to your mates. And they're like, "What do you mean you don't have anyone to back you up?"
yeah.
I don't
Nobody coming to
understand.
save your ass. Yeah. Well, I didn't learn that until, well, 10 years when we got to Walgett, and it's like, "Oh, shit, there's nobody coming."
No, there was no one. So did you
Yeah,
go
that's a
from
different
did you go from Sydney to Walgett? How was that?
yeah, so the way my career went, I did almost 5 years at Mount Druitt and then went to gangs and the gang squad and did intel. Um, from gangs, I helped set up the criminal organisation unit when that started and then Raptor.
Oh, yeah.
So I did for a little while. And then I went to the Child Protection Register. I can't remember how long I was there. This is all in sort of like a 5-year gap. So gangs, criminal organisation unit, Child Protection Register. Then I had my knee done and went to St Mary's on a return to work. And I started there in brief handling. And I think I was there for an hour when I think it was the crime coordinator said, "Oh, you're intel trained, so you can come in and do our intel supervising." So I literally just fell straight into the intel supervising role there. And then I'd cracked the shits with Sydney. And I said, so then I said, "Let's move out of Sydney." And then we went to Walgett and I got my cranky bar in Walgett just as I turned up to Walgett.
Yeah.
So then from Walgett to Burke at the PCYC, and then from Burke to Orange. So I just fell into the PCYC role really, but I was just following the other half.
Yeah.
He was career driven and I was happy just along as a barred up senior Connie.
In that time though, you'd had 3 kids. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like,
Had them too.
so you did like you're pretty busy.
Yeah, yeah, life was busy.
Yeah.
It was
Crazy.
it's funny though, because I always once I had the kids, I always worked set shifts. I never dropped the kids off to daycare or pick them up.
Wow.
That was because when I wasn't working, they were with me. And then when I was working, because my other half, he did the prosecuting. So he was 8 to 4. So he always did the pickups and drop offs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of weird to think, yeah, I very rarely went to daycare to drop off and pick up because I was starting work we start at 6. So you're there at 5:30. and then didn't finish till 6. So, yeah, that was in hindsight, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I did sort of miss out on that," but you just did what you had to do really, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you miss much because the trauma of dropping off a 2-year-old at daycare is pretty fucking horrible.
Oh. Oh, how funny.
I mean, the pickups are cute when they're excited to see you and bail for the day, but those drop-offs are brutal.
Those drop-offs, yeah. Yeah, it's funny the things that you remember though.
How
Like,
old were your kids when you moved to Walgett? Because I remember them being quite little.
they were little.
Yeah.
So Mackenzie, we moved in the January. Mackenzie started year 1. So what was that?
Yes.
6?
7? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Rory, she started kindy there, so she was only well, we moved in the January and she was 5 in the March, and then if he was probably only 18 months, maybe 2, maybe 2.5. So he was little.
Yeah.
All he remembers is regional. Like he doesn't remember growing up in the city, and I don't think the girls particularly remember it either.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were very little when we left the big smoke.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
did they like have nice memories of being in Walgett and Burke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I hope, and I've always thought this, like I just hope they look back on their childhood and go, "Oh, that was nice." Like in Walgett, yes, we lived on the shit side of town, but we had a nice house.
We had the best house in town also.
Yeah, yeah. But like you'd hear like all the domestics going up and down Peel Street, going, "Oh, they're at it again." But then in Walgett, we lived on a massive cotton farm. So that was nice. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Mackenzie was halfway through year 6 when we moved into Orange, because we did end up having a look at boarding school options, and she was not going to go to Burke High. We just went, "Nah, this isn't worth it." And then my husband there was a substantive sergeant's job in Orange prosecuting, so yeah, that's it. We'll go there.
Yeah.
So we're pretty happy there. It's got everything. It's big enough, but small enough as well. Get that little bit of country vibes to it, but that you just still don't have to run into somebody if you're running into for milk.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah. That's something I did struggle with actually living in the country, and especially Walgett, because you'd lock someone up or their husband and then you'd see them down the IGA when you're getting stuff with your kids. Like, really hard.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that balance, isn't it? There's no escape when you're out in those little towns. But look, I think well, first of all, it was a good decision to go for my marriage. I think that sort of bonded us as well. I think it was good for the kids because there's not a lot of activities, so you sort of spend more time as a family, I think. But yeah, it was certainly a good experience, and like I said before, you learn a different style of policing altogether when you're out in those little towns.
Yeah. A different kind of sink or swim.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how did you find Orange, like when you moved out there?
How did I find it?
Yeah.
It was good. I just went straight into duties, actually, just working the truck there, spent a lot of time supervising. I did think about doing the promotions, but I just went, "Oh, actually can't be bothered." And then you'd see people like that were junior to you or go, "Oh my gosh, you're a sergeant. Like, how the fuck has that happened? Like, you're a dick." But then I'd have to go, "No, Melissa, you've made the conscious decision not to do promotion, so you can't get cranky when you see all these other people doing it." So, yeah, so I worked GEDs. So I was there for about 4 years before I went off. And then I think for the last sort of 12 months, I won the position as the Age Crime Prevention Officer. So that was a new position. There's only 6 of us across the state. So, and we did homeless, disability and elderly in just like a crime prevention role. And I really loved that, like just going to the nursing homes and retirement villages and stuff like that and chatting with decent citizens, which you didn't really get to deal with a lot in the cops anyway. So that was refreshing.
When I
So,
heard that you were doing that on your podcast, I thought, "Oh, you would have been great for that
yeah.
role." Yeah.
I remember the first presentation I had to do, I was shitting bricks, and it was the volunteers for the Meals on Wheels.
Aw.
And out in parks went, "Oh, it won't be that many." Rocked up, and there's about 150 people. I've gone, "Oh, shit, that's more than I thought." But, no, I got through it. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah, no, I enjoyed that role. It was different. But, when you're working in the CMU, you're sort of pulled from pillar to post, and when they're short, you're downstairs again. So, you sort of try and sink your teeth into something, and then
You get pulled again.
you're not at the beck and call of the radio, but you're still at the beck and call of the radio. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I enjoyed that.
So what did leaving look like for you? How did that all come about?
Well, yeah, my head just broke.
Yeah.
Um,
We're
um,
laughing, but I can resonate with that.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so the incident that sort of broke me was on the 8th of January 2021, and I think I had like 3 or 4 shifts, and then we were going on leave, and I ended up taking leave earlier and going on holidays for about a month, and I was calling EAP going, "Look, I'm not coping very well, like, I know I need some help," and bless EAP, when I got back to work, they had sent me an email gone, "Yes, well, that is very helpful, so thank you for that." And when I got back to work, I did the peer support officers program, which was quite funny, quite ironic considering
You're asking for help?
that I'm asking for help and here I am not getting anything, but I'll go help other people. And then there was the week of the peer support officers program and then a week at work. And then the shift that the incident happened, I was on an Arvo shift, and then it was my first Arvo shift again because I had a presentation that night. And I dropped the girls off. They were both at high school. Dropped them off at school. Then this was the 15th of Feb, 2021. Then I dropped Cliff off at school, and then I just couldn't move. I just was hysterical, just frozen and crying. And I called my husband and said, "Look, I need help. Like, I can't do this." And then it just sort of spiraled from there. So, yeah,
What's
you know,
that? 5 weeks after you first called EAP? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then we were fortunate because in our office in Orange, we had a lady who worked. I can't remember. She was a civilian, but she did like the mental health stuff. So my husband just ran in and saw her and said, "Oh, look, you need to call Melissa. She needs help." So she had organised a counsellor, and I had a phone call that afternoon. And then I don't really remember what happened from there.
Yeah.
It's sort of
It's a
blurry.
blur, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so nice that you have your husband there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even though you haven't seen the other side of not having a husband in the job, but having a person there that understands the
It's
nuances of the job and then can find help for you and know
oh,
where to look.
yeah, 100%. And I've been really fortunate with him and his support through all of this because he'll I don't know. I don't know how to sort of articulate it, but he's just been a rock. Like, he's been holding us together the last 4 years because, well, for the first 2 years, like, I literally just ran from all my problems. Like, I thought, "Yeah, no, it's fine." Like, I'm on a really small dose of antidepressants. Um, I wasn't sleeping much, so I started some sleep meds as well, but because I had been exercising so much, that was my sort of only coping strategy. Like, I was running probably 60, 70 Ks a week and swimming and riding and doing gym classes plus netball and basketball. Like, that sort of I was exhausted by the time I got to bed, so that sort of helped. And then it all turned pear-shaped when I did my ankle
Mm.
in 23, and then that was my only coping strategy of exercise gone. And I was like, "Oh, shit," and then it just pummeled. So for the first 2 years, I just masked everything and didn't deal with anything. Like, I did EMDR with my traumas and things like that, so that was helpful, but in terms of the everyday PTSD symptoms and things like that, I just masked, and I didn't learn how to take those masks off until my first hospital admission in June 23, so 2 years ago.
2 years, yeah, and 2 years after you didn't go
And 2
back.
years after, yeah, and it was just what I found. I want to say interesting, but I don't think interesting is the right word. Like nobody ever spoke about what the process is once you leave. So and even with my husband being in the job, it still took us 2 years to go, oh, we actually need to go see a solicitor and we need to work on my TPD and things like that. So that's only been finalized for me in the last 6 months because it was just like we didn't know it. So, and look, I think insurance companies are happy for that to happen.
Oh, for
Like,
sure. No one's ringing out going, I'm sorry, you forgot to apply for this money.
yeah, sure, yeah. Here's a little payout that will help you financially
Yeah.
because
Shouldn't even, I just think it shouldn't even be an application process.
no, it should just happen. And
Happen.
because in the first, so I went in February. In December that year, I started a business. So not only was I running and doing all my exercise, I was running this business as well. But then in hindsight, it's like, well, my other half did a hell of a lot more than what I thought he was doing because he was having to do all the hard parts because I just didn't have the capacity to do it. But I didn't realize that I didn't have the capacity to do it until I learned what that actually meant.
Yeah.
Because we'll just push everything to the side, put on a smiley face, and everything's all happy.
I think too, one of the things with capacity and learning how much you actually don't have anymore is because it's so high functioning as a cop and you're obviously quite intelligent because of all the things that you did in the police as well. And I've worked with you and I know how you operate. Then like when it happens and you don't have that capacity anymore, but you don't know, I found that so fucking difficult because
Yeah,
I'd always like whatever I set my mind to, I could, just do with a bit of effort. I could just get there in the end.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
I have to learn that that might not happen anymore for me because,
yeah,
like you say, my brain's broken.
yeah,
Just doesn't function in the way that it used to, and I find that one really, really sad. But two, it's just really difficult to get my head around that it just doesn't work properly or
yeah,
how I've been used to it working for the last however many, like 35
yeah.
years, you know?
And I think it's disheartening too
Oh,
because, like, we go back and go, look, I was doing like juggling all these plates all at once, and now I'm flat out getting the kids up for school.
yeah.
Or cleaning the toilet. Like, I'll look at it and go, "Well, that's really fucking bad." I'll go, I'll just go back to the lounge." But yeah, just the little things that I think that for me that I took for granted, just being able to keep everything running smoothly and still working full time. And now I'm not working and I'm still struggling to do like the bare minimum. It's like, well, who am I now? Like I'm no longer a cop. I'm not contributing at home.
Yeah.
Am I a decent wife? Am I a decent mother? And all those sort of things just come into it and just go, all right. So I'm not the person I used to be, but who am I now as a result of this? So I think for me, that's been tricky as well, trying to figure out what now type thing. So yeah.
It's a
Life.
pretty fucking massive question though. Like,
100%. Yeah.
after, especially after being something for so long. And they say your job's not your identity, but it does create a lot of your identity being a cop. And then to go and live in a country location where all you do is cops. You go to work and you hang out with cops. You're on your days off and you hang out with
Yep.
cops. It does form your identity. So to not have that and then wonder, and you said decent, like, am I a decent wife? Am like in not even striving for amazing,
Oh, no, I'm not going for
I'm the same. Like, is everyone fed? Are we all okay? It's
yeah.
really, really tricky.
Yeah. You count the kids before I go to bed because they all go to bed now. It's like 1, 2, 3, tick, I'm winning.
We're all winning.
Look, Ben, I'm fortunate that my kids are older.
Mm.
They've been, and we haven't hidden anything. Like we've been very honest about about it all. So I think that helps as well. Their age as well. But yeah, I'm striving to be an okay person.
Yeah.
And it's hard because and people say, well, your job isn't your identity. But for me, I don't remember ever wanting to do anything other than joining the cops. And I was, as you say, a baby when I joined. And so for my whole childhood, that was my dream. And then my whole adult life
Yeah.
that was it. So that for me, losing the cops was like, oh shit, like what, like who am I? Because it does become your identity. And I know from conversations when you speak to somebody and I'm like, oh, what do you do for work? That's the first question. Like where I know in like certain European countries, they'll go, oh, what do you do for hobbies? So
Yeah.
now I am going, oh, what do you do for fun?
Yeah.
Things like that. Because I want to try and get out of that. The work isn't who we are. Like it's the kids that you've got or the partner and what you do like that. So I just trying slowly to change that mindset of what we should be looking like now.
Yeah. While we're talking about kids and families, I want to talk to you about going to hospital because I haven't had many people talk about it, especially women, because I think I don't want to put anyone in any pigeonholes or anything like that. But I think for myself, I've not been to hospital for my mental health. But I think that if I'd considered it, something that would be a really huge consideration for me would be leaving the kids at home. And I know that you said your kids are a bit older, which probably helped a lot. But there's probably people or women considering doing inpatient stays, but they have small children.
Yeah.
How did that look for you?
It was tough. And I remember saying to Carl the first time I came down was June 2023. And I remember saying to him, like, what if I'm not crazy enough?
Yeah.
Just come home. Okay. But look, it was really hard leaving the kids. But as I said before, like I was fortunate that my husband isn't a shift worker. So he was there to get the kids to and from school. Like it's tough because I've missed out on Mackenzie getting her P's, like Mackenzie's 17th birthday and Mackenzie's formal assembly for her HSC last year. Like there's been massive, I think this is the third year in a row that I've missed Cliff's birthday. Last year I wasn't in hospital, I was in America, but yeah, but I think what makes it easier for me, like so this is my 5th hospital stay. What makes it easier for me and for the kids is that they can see what I am like before I go to hospital and they can see the benefit of when I come home. And I think that helps, and just being honest with them. But it's not easy, like leaving them. And I don't know how I would go leaving them if they were little. But I think my only bit of advice from it is that this particular hospital, so in St. John of God at North Richmond, they have a specific PTSD ward, which has a program run by psychologists, which is specifically PTSD informed. Is that I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
I think you're going to give some advice about going.
Just do it, because you learn on a day-to-day in the hospital is going to benefit you and the kids in the long run. So the program, it's a 3-week program, and what you learn not only from the groups and the programs run by the psychologists, but what you learn from other patients and from the nursing staff here is so instrumental towards my recovery. And I know for the first time that when I came down, it was, oh, I'm not the only person like this.
Yeah.
And it was so validating to go, oh, I can take those masks off. I can be vulnerable. I don't have to be that big badass cop in the uniform anymore. And it really learned to strip down the layers. And then once I learned to strip down the layers, then I could work on my recovery. So, and without being able to take those masks off, I would still be where I was 2 years ago. So as hard as it is, I would certainly encourage it if an inpatient stay is something that you're thinking about, because it is very validating. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that you get out of, well, for me particularly the first time, is just going, oh, it's almost like that relief, like, oh, it all makes sense now. Like, yes, it's a traumatic world that we worked in, and some of the stuff that we have seen in the time we're in the cops, like people wouldn't even have nightmares about, but we're going to that, and we're made to go, oh yeah, just drink it off, just go have another drink, and you'll be right. But it adds up, and like the job that broke me wasn't a specifically huge job, like there was no blood or guts or anything like that, but it still broke me nonetheless. And I think it's just the straw that broke the camel's back. But getting back to hospital, yeah, I would just try it. And if you're not happy with it, you can. It's a voluntary thing as well. Like it's not like I've been scheduled and my rights have been taken away from me. Like this is something that I'm doing for myself, so I can be a better wife and a better mother.
Yeah, I think that's
And
important that you have that. Sorry to cut you off, to have that choice though, because I think you probably get more out of it than if you're going to be scheduled or something like that. Very different
yeah,
circumstances, obviously,
yeah,
but to have the choice to go, you're saying yes to yourself, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. And you're saying yes to putting that effort in and working on yourself, because we can't be the best version of a mother or a wife or whatever it is unless we put ourselves first. And as a mother and as a wife, it's very easy to put everybody else first, but you're never going to get any better unless you start putting yourself first. And I think that's been a key thing that I've learned in the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, is that I am priority in my life. And yes, I've got a husband and kids that I love immensely, but I can't give them everything unless I'm looking after me.
Yeah, that's so nice. I think that's so important, and so many of us don't do it.
Oh, no. But it's easy not to do it.
So easy.
It's easy just to go, "Oh, no, she'll be right." Like a good Australian mantra, "No, she'll be right. We'll just keep plodding along," and you plod along until it's not,
Until you can't
until you
actually.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I did my ankle, so that was February 23, and I fucked it. Look, I fucked it really, really good. And I'm laying on the netball court holding my ankle together thinking if I let go, it's gonna fall apart, like, it's just gonna drop off. It wasn't going to, but somebody goes, one of the girls I play with, "There's gonna be a reason for this." I'm going,
Yeah.
"Fuck, what reason? This is fucked," and I was wild. Hadn't started crying yet. Um, but then I look back and go, "It's exactly why it happened, is because I wasn't dealing with anything. I was just masking it, and the problems were getting higher and higher and higher, but I didn't realize it." So then once I did my ankle, it was like, "Oh shit, well now I actually have to work on my head because I can't run anymore."
Couldn't do anything else.
Couldn't do anything else. I was in a moon boot for 9 weeks, and I put on 40 kilos really quick. No.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask about that though? Because something that happens to a lot of people is weight gain. And when you're already in in PTSD or depression or anxiety, like that's really fucking hard.
Yeah, it was really, really hard. So not only had I lost my job, well, not lost, well, yes, in the sense of what happened, I lost my job. I lost my ability to exercise and play the sports that I loved so much, which was a great outlet. Because I remember mum saying to me, "Melissa, you just need to stop playing netball." I said, "Netball might not be great for my body, but it's great for my head. Like I couldn't have it sort of both ways." Um, so I had lost all of those things, and then in the process had become sedentary and put on a shit ton of weight. And so I've been diagnosed with PTSD and major depression. And then you throw on the weight gain and it's like, oh, fuck. I know I shouldn't be eating this, but I'm going to keep eating it because it has that small make you feel better. But yeah, it's just and then just little things like I couldn't fit into my bras. So for probably about 2 years, I was wearing like crop tops.
Yeah.
They could have bought new bras, but I didn't. Um, but yeah, none of my clothes fit. So then you're dealing with my sort of say normal range of depression, and then you throw in all the weight gain, which you exacerbates your depression even more. And it's like you can't win. And it's like, well, if I don't love myself, with this weight gain, how's my husband going to love me, or how the kids going to love me, and how my friends going to love me? But what I've learned in the process of putting on so much weight is that I am still loved, and my husband still loves love me, my mum and dad still love me, and all my friends and everybody who means something to me still love me, and I'm not put in a box because I put on this weight. So it's been trying to find that balance about it, and just look, we've been fighting with the insurance company in terms of trying to get a secondary injury from my PTSD, because the weight gains mostly, or like, obviously I've stopped exercising as well, but medications and stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
put on weight. You can't, yeah, we'll give you something for your head to help with your depression, but in the process of it, you can put on 50 kilos, and it's like, well, that's going to make it me sadder.
Yeah. That's not going to make me happy.
Yes, the antidepressants are helping with the chemicals in my brain, but I'm still sad because I'm still fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a journey the last 2 years, and it's funny because I say my PTSD journey really started 2 years ago. Once I did my ankle, because I was masking it for so long. So yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
fun ride.
Yeah. I just, because like I said before, I've been following you and starting your business and all that sort of stuff. And what people see from the outside is so different
Oh, 100%.
from what's going on. It's so different to what's really going on. And
Yeah.
like, I think we're probably pretty similar, that we present pretty well most of the time,
Yeah.
which makes it really hard for people to recognize that there might be an issue until it's
Yeah.
like a massive issue.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing that, because I know, like, when you did your ankle, like, that would have been really tough, especially when you're so used to. I just think being able to exercise is such a gift that
Yeah.
you don't realize that you have until you don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my exercise almost got to the point where it was problematic. So if I went for a walk, and if I didn't walk under a certain pace, that was then a fail.
Yeah.
So I really had to, or if I went for a swim and if I didn't swim a minimum of the kilometer, it was a fail. But so I've had to really work hard at retraining my brain for, or not to use my watch and map everything, but to say, you know what, I'm going for a walk today because the sun's out and it's good for my head, opposed to walking for the intention of, oh, I have to walk for 5 kilometers, or I have to do this and things like that. It's, yeah, I've found that really, really hard to go. It doesn't matter if I jump in the pool and swim 50 meters, as long as I've done something, because I know that that benefits my head.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to find that balance, which has been really, really tough. Like it almost got to the point where I was using my exercise as a form of punishment,
Mm.
and it's not healthy. So and now it's hard to find that balance, because yes, exercise is good for you and it's good for your head, but then it can become, well, you know what I'm like. I've got a very
Addictive.
addictive personality.
It's addictive though. Like, I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I don't have I have a watch anymore, because I was the same. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk this poor little dog. Like, he's a cavoodle. We're going for a 6K walk. And
Yeah.
this poor dog's like exhausted, like, oh.
Well,
But I was the same.
yeah,
And then since I've stripped the watch away and just, I go every morning in the gym, because I do know that's good for me. It's just in my garage, so I don't have to go far.
yeah,
And I'll do a bit of a walk and some weights, and that's it. Instead of going, I need to do this, I need to do this program, I need to look like this, or like you said,
yeah.
I need to do it under this time. It's so much more enjoyable, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Once you can get your head around the fact that it's not a competition with yourself anymore,
yeah,
you can just
yeah.
enjoy it. Yeah.
And it is to not compete with yourself. It's
Mm.
hard to get that balance, but I've been working on it and we're getting there. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
good. What's the treatment that you're having now? Because I want to talk about that a little bit too.
So I come in the hospital and have what's called TMS. It's transcranial magnetic stimulation. And so I'm not very receptive to antidepressants.
Okay.
However, I am very sensitive to anxiety meds. So if I took like half a Valium, I'd be fucked for the rest. like, sorry, I can't function at all with those meds, but then I'm on the highest dose of antidepressants. So at the moment, I think we found a good sort of combination between um, the medications and the TMS. And so I'm not sure how much you know about it and things like that. TMS has probably only been in Australia for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And they do it on the left side of the head, and it targets, it's like a muscle memory type thing. You go to the gym and you pump iron and just get that muscle memory going in between your neurons in your brain, and you're awake for the whole thing. It's non-invasive. You sit in the chair for 19 minutes, and it just sends like a magnetic pulse into your brain. I don't know how it works, but it kind of sounds like, you know, when you do a spark test on your taser,
Yes.
kind of sounds like that. And so if I like talking about it, and one of the former or something's talking, I said, look, the only thing is, I said, it could be triggering if you have issues around that taser sparking noise, because that's what it does sound like. So you have 30 sessions, 2 a day when you're an inpatient, Monday to Friday, and they're 90 minutes each. So you sit on the chair, you watch TV, um, chat and stuff. And then I think the first time I had it, so that was maybe September 23. And after the first 8 to 10 sessions, I could start to feel that depression fog just lifting. Yeah. Feels like it, because I've always spoken as my depression as, are you a Harry Potter fan?
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
them.
So
Yeah.
as a dementor, like
Yeah.
sucking that joy out of you. And that's just what I felt like. I was just in that aimless fog. And then so that fog started to lift. And then the last week I was there, I messaged my husband saying, like, I feel happy. I said, I haven't felt this emotion in such a long time. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
What is this? um, and yeah, so I've had, that was the first time, sort of October-ish 2023. And then I was doing really well, did my ankle a couple more times, and then spiraled, because the nurse who does the TMS here, she goes, when you start to feel yourself slip a little bit, she goes, come back in, because then you can just do a maintenance one and do
Like a top up sort of thing.
yeah. So yeah, so like maybe 15 to 20 sessions opposed to the full 30. So but because I waited so long and I plummeted really hard, I had the full 30 the next time. And then February this year, I came in and I only had 20.
Okay.
And then this time I'm back in, but I'm actually doing bilateral this time. So both sides of the head. So I'm in the chair for about 30 minutes, and the right side sort of targets the anxiety.
Oh.
But I'm only doing one a day because I can't physically, because it's a lot for the brain, and it's
Is
just
it exhausting?
yeah. Not
Yeah.
so much the one side, like I could have 2 sessions a day on the one side, on the left side, but on the right side, it's like it just like, so I was having one at 8:15, and then at 10:45, I was struggling to keep my eyes open for lunch at midday, and then I'd come to bed, and I'd lie in bed, and my body would just be so exhausted, but my brain would be still wired, where it's like, "Oh, you're not sleeping."
Yeah.
Like, so but with the one a day, it's doing heaps better. So I've had 11, well, this morning was my 11th, so but I wanna try and do the full 30 to see if then it will hold out longer before I have to come back in again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's good. I'll send you a little video.
Yeah. I had Shane on last season, I think, and he gets it done on the Sunshine Coast and he swears by it too.
Yeah.
He said it's really, really good.
Yeah, some people it works for,
Mm.
and some people it doesn't, and my theory was, because my psychiatrist had said, "Look, the antidepressants aren't working particularly, like, at their best. I think we need to consider TMS or ECT." And at this point, I had already been in hospital probably 7 weeks, and I said, "Look, I just wanna get home." Like, I'm exhausted just being here. And then I got home, and then husband and the kids saw how bad I was and thought, "Fuck, you need to do something." Because I had learned to take all the masks off.
Yeah.
And, like, the first time I probably went in better than I came out. I was like, "Oh," and then I did a heap of research on TMS. I thought, I know ECT works for some people, but for me, it was too invasive, going under a general 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So there was sort of no long-term side effects that I could see with TMS. My theory was if I went in and it didn't work, I'd only lost 3 weeks. If it went in, it worked brilliant. So it was sort of that mindset. But I also think that your mindset going into these things has a big effect also on the outcome. So if you're going, oh, this isn't going to work, this is a fucking waste of time, then it's not going to work. But if you're going in with a little bit of positivity and go, you know what, actually work. Like, and I think that sort of does play a fair bit as to the success rate of it, and also what's going on in the outside world as well. Like, we're very secluded and insular in hospital, but shit still happens outside. But if you can't let go of what's going on outside, but then that's not going to help you with your treatments and stuff like that as well. And I've learnt that from other people that I've met in hospital and go, like, you just put your phone away.
Yeah.
Like, just even for an hour or 2 hours a day, just put it away and just look after you. Like, I will message the family every day while I'm here, but I probably only speak to them once or twice a week.
Yeah. I think sometimes that's good for everyone too, though, right? Because if you talk to them every day, like, you could have a shit day, and then if you miss a couple of days and your kids think that you're just having the worst time for like 4 days in a row, they don't know.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll always send them a message saying I love you and good night or good morning or whatever, but it's about the extent of my communication with them while I'm down here. But yeah, TMS. I am a big advocate for it.
I think it just speaks to that, there's so many different modalities to heal as well. And sometimes you just have to find the one that works for you. And it might take a couple of different things. Like you're saying with your medication, like just getting the dosage right and working it all out, like, can take time.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah. And I think it's about being receptive to that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it's not what I want, but if I've got to be on meds the rest of my life, well then so be it. And if it helps me function, so be it. But ideally, if I could just have TMS with no meds, I'd be happy with that as well. But that's the long-term goal, and I'm certainly not going to stop taking my meds.
No.
I don't want to see what that looks like. I don't want to feel what it feels like, because I've been there. Like, I've been that low, and I don't want to be like that. If they have to keep giving me a shit ton of meds to make me not feel like that again, well, then I'll be happy with that too.
Yeah. I think that's why these conversations are so important. Like, just two chicks having a chat about our mental health, because like you said, and like I know, there wasn't a hell of a lot of information going around when we left.
No.
And certainly no one was talking about what medication they're taking or anything like that. So that doesn't help the stigma of trying new things. So if people like us can just have a bit of a chat and other people listen, that helps so much for other people to go, fuck, if they can do it, they can try something new. And if it doesn't work, you just try something else, then I can do it too. So I really thank you.
Because what worked for you isn't going to necessarily work for me or the next person. Like, it's just and I'm also on the medicinal marijuana as well, like the oils, and that has been life-changing.
Has it?
In terms of my sleep, yeah. The kids call me a stoner, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
There's worse things to be in life. This is not heroin. But yeah, if I can, like, my long-term goal, if I could just be on the oils and TMS, that would be brilliant. But it's a long-term goal, and it's not something that I'm pushing for, because I want to sort of get stabilized in where I'm up to at the moment. So yeah, but if I can recommend that too, that's really, really helped my sleep.
Yeah, awesome.
You can't function without decent sleep.
No, I've had a couple of shocking nights recently, and I'm just like not functioning well at all. I just need one really good night's sleep and I'll be good to go again. It just makes such a difference. Yeah.
Oh, it does. Yeah, certainly does.
Let's talk about your podcast, because I love it so much. So where did the idea come from?
I've got no idea. I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't know. So my best mate and I, her name is also Mel. we this is a bit of a segue, but we started, how you can do on messages and send the voice notes to each other, yes, and we just message like that. My other half goes, "You two need to start a podcast. Like the shit you talk about is ridiculous." Anyway, so we did one episode, and she goes, "I can't fucking do this anymore. It makes my anxiety go too crazy." I've gone, "Well, what about me?" Like, and then I don't know how it came up about starting my own. It just happened. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I started. And I remember recording the first 2 episodes and then releasing them while we were on holidays and gone, "Oh, fuck, people are listening to this.
Yeah.
This is insane. Like, I'm just Mel." Like, and then, so then I think the 3rd and 4th episode that I recorded, I was really nervous going, "Oh shit, people are really listening." Like, "Oh, this is awkward." But for me, I think for me, the reason why I started it, because I wanted to get the word out there and try and get rid of the stigma, particularly in the cops,
Yeah.
about mental health. And I find it really cathartic for me to jump on and go, "Oh, you know what? I had a really shit week and A, B, C happened." And so for me, it's probably almost a little bit of psychology in there, or therapy,
Yeah.
just me chatting about the week and life and things like that. But then in the process, if I can help even one person in their journey, well, then that's rewarding for me too. But like, I've had people message me who I worked with at Mount Druitt go, "Oh my gosh, no, this is amazing. Thank you so much." And because my husband works in the state at Orange, he'll have people coming up to him go, "Oh, this episode in Mel's, this was blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "Look, I'm just going to let you know, I don't listen to it."
Yeah.
"What? You don't listen to it?" He goes, "No, I live it. And I don't
I'm
need
living
you."
it. I don't need to. I know.
No, no, like even the kids haven't listened to it either. It's like, no. And for me, I am so raw in the episodes and I'm so vulnerable. I don't think I want them to listen to it
Yeah.
either. Um, because it's like, oh, like I talk about a lot of shit in there. And yes, they worry about me in day to day, but I don't want them to have to worry and go, "Well, shit, she's having a good week, having a bad week." Is the thought of self-harm or suicide ventured. Like, I don't want them to get that sort of I don't know, it's hard to articulate, but I don't want them to worry about what might happen.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not suicidal. And I know there was one episode there, I think it was the second one, might have been episode 17, where we lost a mate to suicide. Like that was a really tough episode to talk about. And I remember in there going, "Look, I could put on a mask and say, yep, I've had a great week," and things like that, but that's not a true reflection of what's happening in my life. And that's what the podcast is. It's my life with PTSD and the kids and everything in between. And I'm not being true to myself if I fluff it up with sunshine and flowers every week. But I think that's what helps me. But I think that's what the people who are listening to it appreciate as well, that I am vulnerable and things like that in it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I love your podcast so much because it's like a verbal journal.
Yeah.
You know, it's like something that you would write in a journal and you're just letting everyone else read it. And it's so
Yeah.
beneficial for so many people, like you said. Like I'm sure you're
Yeah.
getting so many messages because
Maybe I should start it with Dear Diary.
yeah, dear Mad Mel, this week. But it is like, and I know, and you like you said, you know, there's probably some psychology in it. Like I'm sure there is because
100%,
you know,
yeah.
journaling is an amazing thing to do for your mental health. So
Which
to
I don't do.
well,
Yeah.
you are.
My podcast now.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm gonna obviously link to it in the show notes called Mad Mel's Mic. It's really amazing, and you've done so well.
I didn't name it either.
Then you did. But,
Oh, that was my husband.
uh,
He's good at that stuff. And then AI did the logo.
oh, nice. Yeah, actually, I really like that too.
Yeah. Good old.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, it's so so good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's nice too. I think when we are the way we are, to be able to produce something because
Yeah.
it's like that. Like we were saying before, you know, what am I doing now? Who am I now? And
Yeah.
it's just nice to feel like you're making a contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in our roles in the cops, there was a tangible reward out of it. Not necessarily all the time, but you occasionally doing that positive things and stuff like that. And then once that's sort of stripped away from you, it's like, well, how am I going to contribute now? Because that's been such a huge part of my life for so long. And yeah, I kind of feel like I do have that purpose
Yes.
and that sort of, I don't know, goal, I guess, to work forward to. So it's
Yeah. So good.
a bit of fun.
So much fun. I love it.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
to talk to some of my old mates, which is so
Yeah.
good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. And thanks for coming on, Mel, and for
No
sharing
worries.
everything that you have. Like, it's been amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You should come back. We should have another chat. It was fun.
100%.
Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any new ones. We release fresh content every Tuesday. And while you're there, take a moment to leave us a review. I would genuinely appreciate your thoughts. Don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook at Tactical Yoga Australia and share this episode with your friends, family, and workmates to spread inspiration. Your support means the world. My name is Rosie Skeen. Join me again next week for another empowering and positive episode of Triumph Beyond Trauma. Until then, be kind to your mind and trust in the magic of your consistent and positive efforts. Triumph beyond your trauma is closer than you think. Have the best week.